Conversation going and welcome in Texas Congressman Michael Cloud. Congressman, welcome in. We appreciate you being here. Now, before we move on, I do want to ask you about the First Lady's address yesterday, because not only did she deny any close ties to the late sex offender, but she also is calling on Congress to allow the victims to testify in a public hearing. Now, you're a member of the House Oversight Committee, so you have a few hearings on Epstein already on the schedule. Would you encourage Chairman Comer to also take up this?
Very much so, and I think he would be willing to. He's continued to try to push this investigation in a bipartisan fashion. I was thankful, frankly, that she came out and spoke to this issue. It may be the push we needed to help move it along. The American people, I don't think believe and buy into, and I'm one of them, don't buy into the line that we've been given so far on this, and there just seems so much surrounding this that has not come out yet. And so we want the truth to be found, and we want to continue the investigation until people are brought to justice. Epstein's not the only one who was involved in this. Maxwell as well is not the only one who was involved in this. This was much broader, and we need to see justice in this matter.
No, absolutely. And so I want to move now back to the partial government shutdown. You guys head back to Washington, D.C. Monday. Today, President Trump's meeting with the Senate whip, John Barrasso, Senator Lindsey Graham, who's the budget chair. They're going to talk about Plan B. They're going to talk about reconciliation. I know some Republicans, especially in the House, don't like this whole two-track reconciliation and approving what the Senate did. Where are you on this? Do we think this is finally going to get done anytime soon?
Well, it's certainly not the way that this should go, and there's some danger in passing an appropriations bill. The other side of that is that we would fund, DHS through reconciliation, and then we would send across a bill that would basically have a goose egg for DHS, and that puts us kind of in a legal quagmire position when Congress speaks on an issue and says we want zero funding for a department, and certainly one that has to do with the protecting our homeland. And so this is kind of a new ground that we've been put into because Dems in the Senate do not want to fund our homeland security. And so we got to be very cautious when heading down this road. The bill that they sent us, the Senate sent the House, and then the House sent back to the Senate. I appreciated when the Speaker came out and said it was a joke because it was not a serious way of dealing with this issue. And so we need to come up with a better plan, I think, and get back to funding our law enforcement who are doing the great work of protecting our communities.
Right. And on a more international level, Democrats, they're trying again to push a war powers resolution. Republicans did block House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, his first attempt to force a unanimous consent yesterday. But they're going to try again next week when you're officially back in session. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I can appreciate the thought that nobody wants to see Iran turn into Iraq, a 30-year kind of quagmire. But right now, this is nowhere near that. We're weeks into this. We're not years into this or months into this. And we want the president to have as much leverage as possible to bring about the best deal for the American people and for the world as possible. And so, I think at this point, let's let him continue to negotiate. He's been the strong man in the room, and with the help, of course, of our military, who's done a fabulous job in executing this. And so let's continue to give he and the administration as much leverage as we can heading into negotiations over the next couple of weeks to make sure that we bring a righteous solution to this.
Yeah, and before we go, Congressman, it's something I'm not sure a lot of Americans know about, but they should. So about 10 days from now, a week and a half, Section 702 of FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, is set to expire. Congress currently debating its renewal, which has become really hotly contested. It's been used to spy on Americans in the past. Where are we in that debate, and what do you think we should know about this?
Well, there's not a debate over whether we should have it. We want our intelligence agencies to be able to spy on foreign threats. The problem is, as you mentioned, is that American citizens have been wrongly swept up in this in times past, and that ability has been misused in the past by the intelligence community. And so we need to put protections that protect American civil liberties. So part of that discussion needs to be a warrant requirement. There's a Fourth Amendment for sale issue, and that is where the intelligence agencies, instead of getting a warrant and going after information on American citizens. They just buy it off the market. And some would say, well, insurance companies can do that too. Well, insurance companies can't put you in jail. And so they should have to have a warrant and not just be able to buy that off the market. And something that's extremely important to me that needs to be a part of this discussion is finally putting a ban for a central bank digital currency. That is really, and again, we're not worried about the Trump administration here, but under a Biden-esque administration in the future, that would be the ultimate surveillance tool and tool of control for a government that's gone wayward. And so we've got to have these protections in for the American citizen for this discussion to continue to move forward and for us to have reauthorization.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Congressman. We appreciate it.
Thank you.